Hi there and welcome back to Japan and to our review of Gamu Gamu Girl, the new video that just came out by Kyary Pamyu Pamyu. If you haven't seen it already, before I give you the review, I don't want to spoil anything from this. Go check it out. The link is in the description below. It's a real doozy. We're going to have a lot to break down, a lot to unpack on this one. I'm going to start by talking about the song and then we're going to talk about that video because we need to talk about that video. So first things first, let's talk about this song. Now, I've been waiting for some new Kyary Pamyu Pamyu for a while, as I'm sure a lot of people have. She's iconic for many reasons in the Japanese music industry, and one of the big factors of it is that she is, I guess maybe she's not entirely unique, but she certainly is one of the leaders in crazy, kooky fun, but also in a way that has a sort of charm. We talk a lot about groups like Bish and a lot of those whack idol groups. They can be charming, but a lot of the time they're really just trying to sort of push boundaries and things like that. Kyary Pamyu Pamyu manages to be crazy, but in a way that is strangely wholesome at the same time. Now, in regards to that, therefore, we end up with a sound that often is quite interesting. The Nakata Yasutaka sound, fantastic with groups like Perfume as well, but somehow Kyary Pamyu Pamyu always gets the most out of that slightly kookiness, that strange edge, and a lot of it's in her voice. You know, she's got a voice that might not be your classic opera singer voice, but she's got just a charm, again, a lot of charm to the way she sings. Now with this song, I felt a lot of different good qualities from different parts of her music came together very well in this, in what you'd expect from a single, in that it was catchy, really catchy, but in that kind of repeated onomatopoeia way. Again, even the title, Gamu Gamu Girl, repeated sound, kind of reminds me of An, the song, which has the word An in it a lot. And there's a lot of songs like that. You guys will probably know if you've heard Kyary Pamyu before, or heard her albums especially. She has those songs with like the repeated onomatopoeia. This was one of those, but it was really, again, well, just another catchy example of that, like she does so well. And it was supported by a backing, which was, it had that classic Nakata Yasutaka sound, but in this case, kind of stripped back a bit. It reminded me a little bit of what was happening on Harajuku Iehoi. I always say that wrong. Harajuku Iehoi. In that was one of the more efficient sounding singles from Kyary Pamyu Pamyu. It was probably one of the least Kyary sounding songs that she'd done. It still had that taste in that, you know, it was just her innate qualities, her innate voice, the sounds that are used in her productions were there. But it was quite different in that it felt more sort of purposefully like a single, stripped back, a little bit minimalistic and very much on the beat with what it was trying to do, which was just be catchy, just try and be an earworm. And in a way that wasn't so twee that it might put off, you know, some of more too cool for school style of audiences. This one, again, had that feeling in that it wasn't going so twee that it would alienate people. It was very direct. I love that sort of simple, the usual sort of Yasutaka beat, but it had the clarity of the bass. Loved the bass as it was going through those octaves, was really sort of nice and clear. It gave room for us to really focus on the basics, which is what this song's kind of about. It's a very sort of simple, basic, catchy earworm. Which is, like I say, a nice contrast to some of the more cluttered, crazy sounding songs that we hear from Kyary Pamyu Pamyu. I always was like shocked that Pom Pom was like her first massive breakthrough. I know the video helped that as well, but that was a song that is very much to the ears of anyone who's into that kind of very off the wall style of J-pop. But for a general audience, you'd think that was a bit too cluttered sounding. So I was always impressed that got the love and attention that it did and deserved. But songs like this, you can tell they are good choices for singles, well written as singles. They just kind of, you know, they work. So it brought in sort of elements of that more simple a melody and the sort of repeat sounds, like thinking of things like Anan's, that always the first one that comes to mind. Even Ring a Bell, those sorts of ones. It had the direct, sort of sharp, sort of single, you know, radio-friendly pop sense of something like Harajuku Iehoi. And it also had that slightly, in the scales that were being used, it had that nice, should we say, very Asian feel. I think this is something that we often miss, because when we talk about artists like Kyary Pamyu Pamyu, we talk about the sort of more modern pop values, you know, the Harajuku style qualities, that sort of that side of Japan. But a lot of her music actually, in the sounds that it's used, the scales that are used, does kind of nod towards those sort of Asian scales that you'd expect from folk music, which this did as well. It felt it had that sort of Asian air to it. And I'm not just saying that like I said, of stereotypes, genuine in the way it was written. Ninja Pam, can't do the dance. That was another one that really had that. And so this to me was grabbing from those little areas of qualities that we've heard from her before. It wasn't in any way, like I say, the most complex. It wasn't like pushing any of her boundaries, but it really felt like it was getting a lot of the qualities that you want in a Kyary single. So this was quintessentially a single. Like I say, it's something which definitely is nice, safe and easy for listeners to get into. Not particularly challenging, but certainly, like I say, drawing from things that had led to some of her best singles in the past. I thought it was a nice balance. How it will stand up against the test of time is going to be an interesting one, because like I said, these more sort of simple, just catchy ones, sometimes they're the ones you overlook in exchange for the more complicated singles she has being the ones that maybe have more re-listening value because there's more to pick apart from them in repeat listens. But I certainly think this is a great single, and certainly considering that her career's been a bit of a quiet place recently, I think this is a really good punch back into the limelight. Now, we need to talk about that video. First things first, I know that there was a lot of stuff she had, like the short making of videos coming out before this. They had the relatively, I think it was like 45-minute live stream before the premiere of the music video, which was like doing the 10th anniversary and sort of building up to the release of this song. I'm going to watch those, but I deliberately didn't because I don't like to spoiler what I'm going to hear in advance. I like it to be a surprise. I like to do these first responses very honestly. It's like, someone who doesn't watch a trailer before the movie because they want everything to be a surprise. It was like that for me. I'd seen some images and things, but I must admit I was pleasantly surprised that this went in directions that I didn't expect. I really can't wait to see what the behind the scenes were. Partly because that whole fight scene thing. Now, before the fight scene came in, we'll get to that in a minute. But the visuals immediately nice and crisp. It still had the crazy sort of graphics and everything happening, but it had a sort of crispness. It looked very real. It wasn't all CGI backgrounds in this one. And that was kind of a nice change. It had its own definite vibe. I liked the shot that it came in with, the one where she's at the sort of back of the long room with the water and there's the lanterns down the side, wasn't there? That was nicely composed. There's some good little angles on that. The shots were all good. The way that she did, obviously she'd been practicing a lot for the choreography with the sword fighting thing. And that was nicely played into it as well. It felt like a dance. I guess, well, they do actually call it a sword dance, don't they? I don't know if it was that discipline that they'd been practicing with her, but it felt like, somewhere between fighting and dancing, which was really nice. Anyone who knows more about that art form, do let me know. I might be in Japan, but it doesn't mean I know everything about Japan. So, I'd be really interested to know if anyone could actually say was that what she was doing, and maybe I'll know that when I go back and check the making of videos. Certainly, though, that was nicely played in. There was a feeling that it was still a Kyary video, still had all those ingredients, but it was just a little bit more of an edge, a little bit more realistic looking, a little bit more with the sort of sword stuff. It felt a little bit like it had a bit more edge. And then we get into the fight stuff at the end. Now, I don't know, obviously, how much of that was her. None of it looked particularly, with some tiny little bits which were deliberately supposed to look this way. None of it really looked like it had been sped up or anything like that. There was plenty of times when she could have been replaced for momentary cuts by a body double, so I don't know. But considering she looked like so comfortable with herself, I wouldn't be surprised if she actually did all of that. A good sort of fast cutting on the directing as well really helped to sort of keep it looking dynamic. But that was really cool. It was really nicely done. And I liked the idea of Kyary, who's always represented a sort of innocence. Never in too much of a pushover way, because she's always had that sort of personality, that sort of independent personality, which kind of makes her not just some like AKB member. It gives her a little bit more strength of character. But certainly in this, there was that feeling that she was still able to do the sort of sweet, cutesy style things, but at the same time really put on a kind of a nice tough edge to it, and it didn't feel fake and swaggery. I mean, I often say, sorry to do this reference, but this is one of the things I often say annoys me about Blackpink, the Korean K-pop group, is that there's so much swagger in there, and swagger is okay if you earn it, and they just feel like, I don't know why we have to listen to them sounding so arrogant and swaggery. It doesn't work for me. I'm just like, yeah, you just sound like you love yourselves more than you really should. I'm sure they're nice people in real life, but their in-music personality is not convincing. So when I see something like this, it's like it's kind of understated from the song. You kind of get a feeling, oh, this is cool, this is nice, a bit innocent, but with a sort of good edge. But then they see the video, and I think she pulls it off. It looks like she's trained at what she's doing. She's not. It's not all arrogant. There's a sense of fun to it as well. I just thought, I thought it was nicely done. I thought the fight stuff was directed in a way that it didn't look cheap and tacky. I mean, it was shot in that sort of underground car park looking setting where you thought this could be out of some straight to I'm not going to say even DVD, straight to video 80s action movie with ponytails and karate fighting. It looked like that kind of setting, but the way it was directed, like I said, the way that they choreographed it was really cool. I loved the reference to it. It kind of looked like the Interstellar, the movie Interstellar Black Hole appeared for the hand to come out. I like that. That was a nice little touch for all you science geeks out there. There was nice little touches like that came in. The whole way that it resolved with just the huge, like a koi fish just coming out of nowhere. Again, that was awesome. That was a nice little touch and set up a nice little final frame. And of course, again, that reminds us of previous videos. There was just a lot of simple choices in here that worked. I mean, overall, if we were to analyze it from just a completely cold point of view, the video didn't look like it cost very much to make. The song was relatively simple, but all of them, both aspects were hitting all the right notes. Not too much content, just the right content. Only like 2 settings. The first one, quite beautiful, simple, but beautifully done. The second one, hardly a setting at all, but you fill it with some really interesting action in there. The song, like I say, just simple ingredients that worked. I already covered that, but you get what I mean. From the perspective of music, I've always said that music videos that have anything of a storyline value or use sound effects in them, I know that's kind of a deliberate way of stopping you downloading the song off of the video. I do think from a longevity standpoint, it does kind of kill the replay value a little bit once you've seen that bit, because it makes it harder to enjoy it as a accompaniment to the song when the song obviously becomes somewhat of a background aspect in the second half. However, it does make a really good promotional version, just a promotional video, because it's, like I said, it's fun, it's engaging. Yeah, I really enjoyed this. It was a nice surprise. It was nice to see Kyary adding a little bit of a sort of a toughness to her image, but not like a fake swaggery toughness. Kind of like a you go Kyary kind of toughness to it. It's cool to hear a song that was okay, didn't sort of blow any surprise away, but you go into something like this expecting a single. You want a single. You want to hear them being what they are in the most radio friendly, but also catchy way without compromising their identity. And for me, the song did that great. I'm really happy. I'm looking forward to seeing how this all feels after repeat listens. But after first listen, great stuff. And yes, I can wholeheartedly say that if you've gone through this review without having seen the video yet, go and watch it. It's worth it. Anyway, as always, get in the comments. Tell me what you thought as well. Worked with music my entire adult life, as I say, live in Japan, done all these things, but it doesn't mean my opinion means any more than yours. It just means that I have the convenience of a couple of perspectives. I want to know what you guys think. So tell me in the comments what you think of both the song and the video. What do you think about music videos as well that have sort of storyline or sound effect features that might kind of kill their replay value a little bit in the future? Do you think that's something which is worth it for the initial fun? Or do you think it's something that makes you feel a little bit unfortunate on repeat listens? Remember, you can like and subscribe as all the YouTube stuff. Follow any of our social medias linked in the description below. And a big thank you to the Patrons, because like I said, we're non-monetized, so you guys keep this channel going and alive. So, until I hopefully see you very soon in Japan for the next one of these, thank you for making it through to the end of this video. And for now, ciao ciao.